Hello, it's good to have you on the news on NTA International. I'm Chimobi Walter Naji. Let's start with the headlines. World observes International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists as Committee to Protect Journalists 2020 Global Index reflects Nigeria no longer among countries that perpetrate impunity against journalists. Ahead of 2021 Ministry of Environment to deploy automated flood early warning system to avert devastating consequences of flood in communities. West African Examination Council WAEC releases 2020 West. Glad to have you on the news. Part of the vision of the Ministry of Environment in 2021 is nationwide deployment of automated flood early warning system equipment. Now, this is to prevent the devastation of flood in communities. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports that the minister was at the House of Representatives for budget defense.
The Minister of Environment, Abubakar Mahmoud, listed projects proposed for implementation in 2021, numbering 147, which include new and ongoing projects located across the 36 states of the Federation and FCT. Aside the flood early warning system equipment, the ministry will intensify conservation, restoration and protection of the environment.
One of the really flagship projects of this administration, remediation activities are completed in 10 sites, but so far 6 of which are waiting final certification by NOSDRA.
Other budget defense sessions involve the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency, as it appeared before the House Committee on Poverty Alleviation to give more insights on its 2020 budget performance and projection for 2021.
Last year's budget was cut by 30%. We still need about 1 billion to complete the Abuja enterprise hub that we are combating, and we are doing it as a pilot project.
Meanwhile, the House Committee on Aviation, during an investigative hearing, has urged the Ministry of Aviation to suspend the planned concession of 4 airports in Nigeria. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Now, the federal government has kick-started the process of legal reforms in the Nigerian aviation sector through the transmission of 6 reform bills to the National Assembly. The bills, having passed second reading at the Senate, have now been subjected to public hearing, with the Minister of Aviation, Senator Hadi Sirika, and other key players providing expert perspectives. Ignatius Unkwo reports.
The aviation industry is one of the fastest growing sectors of the Nigerian economy and must be improved upon. The best way to achieve this is through legal reforms, which the federal government is undertaking already. Senate Committee on Aviation is organizing a 3-day public hearing on the 6 aviation reform bills, which seek to update the various laws regulating the sector.
Yes.
The bills, seeking to repeal and reenact the Civil Aviation Act of 2006 and the Nigerian College of Aviation Technology 2010, received inputs from industry players.
I am sure we are up to the task, not just in the interest of quality aviation industry, but for the overall benefit of our country.
The bills, when passed, are also expected to streamline the roles of agencies, improve aviation safety and promote investment in the sector. But there are reservations on some provisions of the bills.
The clause that imposes 5% contract, sales and service charge. Our proposal is that a consideration be given to lowering that percentage.
And these are monies that they ought to give us. Now, if we reduce downwards that our 5% that she's proposing, then our monies goes down.
Advertisement and steel complex, which this government, more than any government, is determined to revitalize. And for it to work, we must put that airport into shape.
The committee commended the federal government for COVID-19 bailout of 4 billion naira to airline operators and called for more. Budget defense continued as the Senate Committee on Education scrutinized the 775.3 billion naira 2021 budget of the Ministry of Education and its agencies.
We we are still confident in making a higher projection for next year. But the little we were able to do this year, we have already remitted them.
As for CRF remittances, we have so far remitted 3,974,342,506.
If we miss it at the budgeting point, we will miss it at the implementation point.
The head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Dr. Folashade Yemi-Eson, also appeared before the Senate Committee on Establishment to defend 2021 budget of 7.1 billion naira from the National Assembly. Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
And now to other matters. Kaduna State Governor Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai has called on the National Assembly and its ad hoc committee in constitutional review to leverage on the recommendations of the APC True Federalism Committee to initiate either a piecemeal or comprehensive constitutional and legislative amendments conducive for modern governance. Governor El-Rufai was speaking at the just concluded Arawa House Golden Jubilee celebration in Kaduna. Muhammad Umar Ajingi reports.
After saluting the vision and sacrifices made by the founding fathers of the northern states, Governor Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai told his elder statesmen, intellectuals, politicians and traditional rulers that it was time to act on recommendations of the APC Committee on True Federalism, which meant to lay the party's roadmap for nation's greatness.
The APC Committee on Federalism recommended that the Federation be rebalanced with more powers and responsibilities devolved to the states. The committee also clarified that the Federation is a relationship solely between the states and the federal government, and that each state should be allowed to operate the system of local government that best suits its circumstances, culture, and diversity.
Governor El-Rufai says the committee chaired by him believes that Nigeria has come of age to restructure her laws, make necessary arrangements in her constitution for modern governance system that will move the nation with the trend of the 21st century. Part of the recommendations by the committee is for state to exercise more powers in controlling resources to deliver better services to the people. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Marajingi, NTA News.
Now, the West African Examination Council, WAEC, has released the 2020 West African Senior School Certificate examination results with 65.25% pass rate, an improvement on last year's 64% pass rate. Hingino John Adams gives us details.
Briefing the press in Lagos, head of Nigeria National Office of the Council, Patrick Aregan, disclosed that out of the 1,538,445 candidates that sat for the exam, 1,456,727, representing 94.69%, have their results fully processed and released, while 81,718, that is 5.31%, have few of their subjects still being processed due to some errors committed by the candidates. 86.99% of the candidates, as against last year's 82.35%, obtained credit and above in minimum of 5 subjects with or without English language and mathematics.
The results of 215,149 candidates, representing 13.98% of the total number of candidates that sat the examination, are being withheld in connection with various reported cases of examination malpractice. The examination was also conducted in Chibok local government area of Borno State, the first time since the abduction of over 200 school girls in the area by insurgents 6 years ago.
In the month of April, candidates of the West African Senior School Certificate examination were left in uncertainties as a result of the initial cancellation and subsequent postponement of the examination caused by the coronavirus pandemic. On 17th of August, the candidates' anxiety was fully put to rest as the examination began with mathematics and ended on September 12. Barely 2 months after the examination, the results are out. In Lagos, Hingino John Adams, NTA News.
Now, the federal government has given reasons for the delay in the payment of October 2020 salary to some civil servants, assuring that necessary steps have been taken to resolve the matter. The head of civil service of the Federation, Dr. Folashade Yemieson, in a statement explained that the delay is due to the FCT, the fact that the 2020 budget was passed before the conclusion of negotiation on the new minimum wage and its consequential adjustments. She went further to explain that a lump sum was, however, provided in the 2020 budget for Dr. Folashade Yemieson minimum wage and its consequential adjustments. Also disclosed that a committee made up of representatives of the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, the Budget Office, and the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation has been set up to determine the shortfalls of ministries, extra-ministerial departments and agencies. The shortfalls are to be paid from the lump sum already set aside in the budget for the minimum wage and its consequential adjustments. The committee is expected to conclude its work by the end of this week so that salaries can be paid. While appreciating civil servants for their patience, the head of service also informed that she is in touch with the Director General, Budget Office, who assured that salaries will be paid by the end of this week. And the International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists is an unrecognized international, UN-recognized international day observed annually on 2nd of November. The day draws attention to the low global conviction rate for violent crimes against journalists and media workers. Awal Yusuf Jibo reports.
Last 14 years, close to 1,200 journalists have been killed for reporting the news and bringing information to the public. This is according to information gathered from the United Nations. These figures do not include many more journalists who on a daily basis suffer from torture, enforced disappearances, and harassment.
Journalists are stand firm to ensure that the right of the people to free speech, the right of people to information, the right of people for proper education and government policies, and of course, entertainment and what goes around them have been pivotal to the sustainable development of journalism in Nigeria.
There is a common opinion that when attacks on journalists remain unpunished, a very negative message is sent that reporting the embarrassing truth or unwanted opinions will get ordinary people in trouble. This may also make the society lose confidence in its own judiciary system, which is meant to protect everyone from attacks on their rights.
The most fundamental thing, one, is the entrenchment of the rule of law in words and deed, and the rights of journalists to seek for information and to be protected in the process.
Journalists themselves too have to respect themselves to be able to perform their duties respectfully, and then get the interaction between them and government in such a way that everybody benefits, both parties benefit. The journalists benefit from the interaction, the government itself benefits from the interaction.
The United Nations General Assembly proclaimed November 2nd of each year as the International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists. In Lagos, Awal Yusuf Jibo, NTA News.
Now, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, SAN, said the federal government of Nigeria is working seriously to end impunity for crimes against journalists and the public in general. In a message to commemorate the United Nations International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists, the minister said the 2020 Global Index for Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists by the Committee to Protect Journalists, released on Wednesday, 28th November, indicates that Nigeria is no longer among the countries with impunity for crimes against journalists. Nigeria is the only country that came off the index from 2019. Malami described the achievement as the result of deliberate commitment of President Muhammadu Buhari through the implementation of many reforms in the Nigerian justice sector. The Nigerian Union of Journalists President, Mr. Christopher Isiguzo is in our studio to discuss the essence of the observance of International Day to End Impunity Against Journalists. Mr. Isiguzo, it's glad to have you in our studios tonight.
Thank you very much.
All right, so let's start by, first of all, telling us what informed the observance of this day, and do you think it has been justified?
The essence of the International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists is mainly to bring to fore the array of problems, challenges facing the media globally. And of course, looking at it from the perspective of the several crimes that have been meted against journalists across the world. And that's the reason why United Nations decided to proclaim November the 2nd every year as a day to commemorate these unique events. And bringing it down home, you would agree with me that journalists have continued to experience all manner of impunities against them, flowing from arbitrary arrests, illegal detentions, harassment, intimidation, and the rest of them. But I must say that the biggest crime against journalists is the fact that they are not paid as at when due. Non-payment of salary remains the major crime against journalists, especially in our own clime. You have people that work for months, and at the end of the day, they are not paid. Those who are paid are poorly remunerated, not commensurate with the kind of contributions they make to the society. And that in itself is unacceptable and remains a major crime.
Okay. So additional challenge confronting journalists, talking about what you just said, is the issue of fake news. And it seems, they bear the brunt in the absence of verification. How do you think that can be handled?
Well, I must also state here clearly that those who spread fake news, the purveyors of fake news, are not journalists. I must say it clearly, because there is no journalist that is worth his onion that would engage in dissemination of fake news, because when you do that and it is discovered, it casts an aspersion. It questions your integrity. Your credibility is called to question, no doubt. So there's no journalist that would want to trade or sacrifice long years of integrity built on the altar of fake news, disseminating fake news. So that is clearly. But we must have to continue to join the government in looking for ways of ensuring that we reduce to the barest minimum this issue of fake news in our system, because it has a whole lot of issues that go with it.
Okay, I want to thank you very much. We've been speaking with the National President of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Mr. Christopher Isiguzo. We thank you very much for being with us on the news tonight.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a break now. More stories when we return. Stay with us.
Demands of #EndSARS movement. Immediate release of all arrested protesters. Justice for all deceased victims of police brutality and appropriate compensation for their families. Setting up an independent body to oversee the investigation and prosecution of all reports of police misconduct within 10 days. In line with the new Police Act, psychological evaluation and retraining to be confirmed by an independent body of all disbanded SARS officers before they can be redeployed. Increase police salary so that they are adequately compensated for protecting the lives and property of citizens. Federal government's response. On 11th October 2020, the Inspector General of Police dissolved the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS, across the 36 states police commands and the Federal Capital Territory. On October 12th, President Muhammadu Buhari addressed the nation, stating, "The disbanding of SARS is only the first step in our commitment to extensive police reforms On 13th October 2020, the Inspector General of Police ordered all defunct SARS personnel to report at Force Headquarters, Abuja, for debriefing as well as psychological and medical examination. On 13th October 2020, the Presidential Panel on the Reform of SARS accepted the 5-point demand of the #EndSARS protesters. On 15th October 2020, the National Economic Council, NEC, directed the immediate establishment of state-based judicial panels of inquiry across the country to receive and investigate complaints of police brutality, related extrajudicial killings with a view to delivering justice for all victims of the dissolved SARS and other police units. State governors should immediately establish state-based special security and human rights committees to be chaired by governors in their state and to supervise the newly formed police tactical units and all other security agencies located in the state. This will ensure the protection of citizens' human rights. Members will also include representatives of youth and civil society as well as head of police tactical units in each of the states.
What does it take to get ahead in today's world? To get your dream job, the perfect girl, even a table at your favorite dance club. It takes moving fast. It takes moving at the speed of 4G. With Intel 4G LTE, you've got it all covered. That's because you have access to super fast unlimited data that enables you move as fast as the speed of light. Now, no download is too heavy, no conversation too long. Nothing is impossible. Get Intel 4G LTE Advanced today and do so much more. Intel. Live more.
Glad to have you back on the news. Now, the Redeemed Christian Church of God says it will continue to take the lives of people within and outside its host community as an important part of its corporate social responsibility. Now, this was made known during the dedication of 3 parishes and a borehole on the Nasarawa Province 3 by the pastor in charge of the region, Deji Afuye. Haman Jabani reports that church will also redouble its efforts towards the improvement of their spiritual lives.
In line with the mission of Redeemed Christian Church of God worldwide, it is evangelizing the world and mankind with the message of God, as it is also affecting lives positively. The church is establishing its presence around the world with the determination to ensure that at least every 5 minutes walking distance in developing countries and 5 minutes driving distance in developed countries is a church.
We dedicate this building.
This is reflected in the dedication of 3 of its parishes under Nasarawa Province 3 at New Caro. Deji Afuyi, pastor in charge of the region, said the Redeemed Christian Church of God will not abandon church projects and commended the parishes for completing the house of God.
We are here to cover the states. This is our immediate Jerusalem. And if you look at so many communities are here. So it is more work, even as the glory descend upon the church.
People feel that indeed we have a church that cares for its people. And here we are, to the glory of God, it has been commissioned today.
Pastors of Living Seed Area Headquarters, Great Expectation Parish, and Blessed Assembly Parish, in an interview, described the project as a fulfillment of God's purpose.
Also give glory to God Almighty. And all what we are doing is just for the expansion of the kingdom of God.
It's a new level. We've never had it this high. The regional pastor, the provincial pastor at the same time in a parish as this. That is a glorious one for the church.
And it's a promotion to the church. And when a church is dedicated, you invariably invited the mighty hand of God to take over.
So now that we have dedicated it, now you can now say, yes, I'm now a landlord. And the blessings that follow will now come to you fully.
As part of its social responsibility, the Living Soul Assembly Parish, a branch of the church, also constructed a borehole for the community to ease the acute water shortage in the area. Hamad Jabani, NTA News.
Now, the 9 Nigerian Americans will appear on the ballot in the Tuesday's general elections in the United States of America, contesting for different offices at the federal, state, and local levels. Besides the presidential election, that Trump and Biden are the major contestants. Governorship polls are held in 11 states and 2 territories, in addition to other state and local elections. Congressional elections are also held on Tuesday, with all the 435 seats in the U.S. House of Representatives and 35 of the 100 seats in the Senate. In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari on Monday joined thousands of Muslims in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, in mourning the demise of Imam Abdul Jalil Dabo, the chief imam of the Uthman bin Affan Islamic Center, located at opposite Banex Emma Plazas, Wuse 2, Abuja. In a message to the family and the followers of the late Islamic leader, President Buhari, who was represented at the funeral by Dr. Isa Ali Pantami, the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, described the deceased Imam Dabo as a rare leader, bold and courageous enough to say the truth to those in power. All right, and it's on that note that we come to the end of the news on NTA International. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Chimobi Walter Naji. But remember to connect with NTA and stand against rape and rapists.